Those of us who feel like justice was not done in Ferguson have a new ally, a strange ally, someone I'm not used to being on the same issue, the same side of an issue with. It's Nancy Grace. Take a look at this.
You know, when people say it just doesn't add up, I'll tell you what doesn't add up. These photos. Because I was expecting to see, and we've all seen them, I have looked at them, I have studied them. I was expecting to see his face mangled. And I hear what he's saying, that he was afraid and this happened and that happened. But I always go back to the beginning, and the beginning is this. You got an armed man and an unarmed man. The unarmed man is shot 6 to 7 times. One of those may be a reentry. That's why it may be 6. 6 to 7 times. He unloaded many, many more bullets. Why? He doesn't even have a bruise. Right? It's red. He's got a red mark. I don't see it. Look, do you know how many times I've ever sided against a cop? Never. But to me, this is bigger than a badge. And I don't like speaking out against a cop. But this doesn't add up.
So she's obviously being very affected there.
She was about to cry.
She was about to cry.
Yeah.
Because he is making her go against a cop. Now, we often believe that she sort of jumps to conclusions when it comes to stuff like this, but this time she's done her research. She has seen the photos, she's looked at the photos, and she's studied the photos. So she's sure of what's coming from those photos. But yeah, I will admit that her being on my side is the first thing that makes me think that maybe I'm wrong about this entire thing.
I hear you, but I think it's the opposite way around. I think that the injustice done in this case was so hideous that you get even people like Nancy Grace, who are, you know, she was a prosecutor, and who are prosecutors at heart, who think, okay, this was a crime. This was a crime committed against Michael Brown, and it should be prosecuted. Let's take a look at Nancy Grace talking about how easy it is in normal circumstances, and she's a former prosecutor, to get an indictment.
And another thing, grand jury. I have presented to grand juries so many times, I can't even count them. On a single day, we would present 75 to 150 cases to a grand jury, and we would do that 2 times a week when I had grand jury duty. I feel that the district attorney, as much as I respect him in other ways, used the grand jury to do what he wanted them to do as his tool. He didn't want to drop it. He presented it in such a way that this grand jury would not bring charges, and I don't like that.
What was missing?
The grand jurors are like sheep. They're babes in the woods. The prosecutor's duty is to seek the truth. And I am telling you that prosecutors, if they want an indictment, they will get an indictment. When I went to a grand jury, I went to the grand jury on each case because I believed the offense had been committed and I had the right guy, or the police had the right guy. And I went in there to present them our evidence. If I didn't think there was a case, I would never have gone to the grand jury. You don't use the grand jury to achieve your personal gain, to achieve what you want them to do. You go in to get a true verdict.
Judgment for Nancy Grace.
Woo!
So I'd like to imitate the. I'd like to imitate the guest on Nancy Grace's program. All right, and scene. Okay.
Yeah, she wasn't contributing much there, but I assume it's hard to get in.
No, you couldn't spin
with Nancy Grace.
She was on a roll.
Yeah. So Nancy Grace showed a lot of emotion there. I mean, if that's genuine empathy for Michael Brown and his family and the community, then that's great. I think that, look, she has made a lot of mistakes in the past. I think that she basically is a purveyor of tragedy porn, and she likes to imagine the worst about people. But in this case, she's doing the right thing, and it's perhaps possible that she will introduce to her audience a different take on this community and its issues, and perhaps cause them to have a little bit of empathy.
You don't need to look at, like, just take the win. You don't need to. You don't need to look for a win in the future.
I would like a win. Also, one other point: if she actually, as someone who's presenting to grand jurors, 75 to over 100 cases in one day, there are some major issues in our criminal justice system that need to be fixed. Because that's too many for one day.
It is, but it means like 3 minutes a case, which means you're just presenting the most compelling evidence that you have. Which again,
I guess that's
true. It just proves what Robert McCullough didn't do, which is present the evidence that would have shown that there was a case to be made, not that it was beyond a reasonable doubt. That's not what you have to achieve with a grand jury.